I have a list of headlines in front of me. You made a comment over the weekend that you don't believe. And by the way, I agree with you. The human activity is causing dramatic changes to our climate. And literally Time Magazine, the New Republic, the LA Times, The Hill, The Guardian, the Daily Beast, NBC, Talking Points, everyone made such a big deal about this. And I wanted to give you a chance. We got 2 minutes left in this segment. I wanted to give you a chance to explain why you don't believe that.
Well, a couple things. If the climate is changing, yes, the climate is always changing, and that's a measurable. Scientists can look at that and say, here's what the climate used to be, here's what it is now, and measure that difference. And that's always been true, and that continues to be true. Here's the second question, though, is what is man's role in it? And I think the scientific certainty that some claim isn't necessarily there in regards to what percentage of a contribution man-made activity has made to that. But here's what's more important as a policymaker. Their claim is that if we stop doing certain things, that will change back. That's absurd. In fact, even in the very reports that they cite, they admit that that's not the case. And so you'll have a tornado somewhere, and or a drought, and you'll have the president or his supporters show up and say this is happening because of climate change, as if to imply that if we eviscerate our economy by imposing cap and trade, these things will stop happening. No. That's ridiculous.
So when the French foreign minister goes to Washington, as he did today, and said we have 500 days to avoid climate chaos, you'd think this is alarmism.
Yeah, here's what I always get a kick out of, and it shows you the hypocrisy. All these people always wag their finger at me about science and settled science. Let me give you a bit of settled science that they'll never admit to. Science is settled. It's not even a consensus. It is a unanimity that human life begins at conception. So I hope the next time that someone wags their finger about science, they'll ask one of these leaders on the left, do you agree with a consensus of scientists that say that human life begins at conception? I'd like to see someone ask that question. It's never asked. And that's not even a debatable thing. We can actually see that happening. I mean, that is a proven fact. And yet that's a scientific consensus they conveniently choose to ignore.
Boy, really well said. All right.